Hey, Mike. You're on mute.
Just having some chips and guac. Sorry.
Nice.
So I was chewing. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm tired,
Yeah.
but that's okay. Tired from doing a lot of things that I enjoy doing, so just far too late into the night. And congratulations, Brant.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, thank you.
I suppose is there an explicit rule that you are not allowed to be a tech lead and a TOC member at the same time?
It's a good question. There's some overlap here. I'm technically still on the roll and for what, another month or so.
Yeah. Do we know if we had moved Matt to this week? But I don't know. I
I think
guess we
we
shall see.
bumped him, but I don't know if we notified him, or at least like we mentioned it in the th original thread, like, hey, we'll move you to another week, but I don't know if we actually ever like validated with him which week works best.
Ah, yes, I see. The question asked and not answered. So that's fair. Um, all right, we'll give folks another 2 minutes. Also, just for the leads, our facilitator schedule is empty after today. So, um, feel free to volunteer for any. I guess I will call this a check-in meeting then. All right, we'll go ahead and kick things off. So we'll start with our usual introduction, that this meeting is being recorded and will be posted to LFX and YouTube shortly after its conclusion. Your participation in this meeting is an agreement to abide by the Cloud Native Code of Conduct, which can be found in the repo. Um, Anyone volunteer to scribe today?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Um, and with that, feel free. It looks like most folks have already uh, put their information, if you'd like, in the meeting notes. I'll share the link again, just in case you haven't and you would like to. Um, and with that done, it looks like most of the folks here we know pretty well. I don't think there's any new members to introduce. Um, Does anybody want to do a incredibly last minute on the spot community demo right now? Oh, I see folks thinking about it. Oh,
Me
this
too.
is could be good. Um, all right. Well, we'll go through some other things and we can come back to it if you work something out in the next few minutes. Um, there was an APAC Tech Security and Compliance meeting. It looks as though there were a few people who attended and some conversation about copy fail and Kubernetes environments, um, getting the PDF version of the IAM white paper going, and KCD Melbourne coming up in a bit with OpenCFP. So, and I think they have a couple other presentations on the agenda in the next few weeks. So if you are able to attend that, it could be some good stuff. Uh, I'm I know that Rob from Control Plane, who's in Australia, he's done a couple of them. I can't quite convince him to stay up this late at night to come and do those demos here, but I'll keep trying. Um, and the other thing, the TOC meeting, uh, is anybody able to attend that this week? Was there? No. Okay. That was last week. Um, but I think most importantly, with respect to the TOC, there was the announcement of the TOC elections.
Yep.
And so for those who weren't here, Brant was elected, or I guess elected by the TOC. I guess I don't know if it's exactly how the whole process works, but and many other familiar names and faces there. I don't have the email on hand, but if anybody else wants to call out anyone notable or has the whole list of folks. Um, and they at the conclu well, I think it was slightly before the official announcement of that, but they also had the issues have been created for the nominations for um, Tag Security and Compliance co-chair. So let me find a link for that in the TOC repo and the other tags as well, just in case you are interested in tag operational resilience or DevX or workloads foundations or infrastructure. Those are the current set of things. And then it has the schedule pretty well documented at the top of the issue. Um, I'll just drop this in the notes. I'll put it in the chat too, I guess. Um, and the so the TOC has officially been seated now. The nominations close May 26th, which I think is that Memorial Day, a holiday, or the Sunday before? Either way, don't wait until the very last day because if it ever falls on a holiday or a weekend, I always forget because I'm busy not working. So, um, and after the nominations close, then the TOC has about a week or 2 weeks to vote. And then once the chairs are announced, or in our case, the one chair for tech security and compliance, then the nominations for tech leads open. So you have the ability to kind of stagger your nominations and elections. I don't think they did that last time, and it was super confusing. So I think we've improved on the process. Um,
They did, and they did decide on the co-chairs before the tech leads. I don't know. The nominations may have overlapped to some extent.
yeah. So, and I know last time, and maybe it was because of the complete empty roster since they reset everything. They had two sequences of TL nominations as well. Oh, I think that's what it was. There was like the concurrent co-chair TL thing for the first round of TLs, and then there was a second round of TLs. Either way, we don't have to deal with that. Hopefully.
Yeah, I think part
Um,
of it also was just how many things were going on, and they just wanted to like stagger it. I don't know, but
yeah. Should be hopefully better this time around. But anyone can feel free to comment on the issue and nominate someone or nominate yourself if you are interested. Um, and it says there are no restrictions on nominations, which is interesting way of phrasing that. But anyways, uh, Um, and I guess with that, if anyone's decided for a last minute demo yet, otherwise we can do a quick round of Project Abraham Lincoln. Yes. Does the person need to be alive? That's a good question. Uh, let's see here. Evan, I don't know if you've heard from Matt about coming to do a readout of the supply chain stuff. I know last week he wasn't able to make it.
Uh, that still seems to be up in the air.
Okay. Is there content
I
that,
I'm going to encourage him to do something that's offline amenable.
yeah, that would be great, and we can definitely walk through it during
Yeah.
a call and discuss it because it would be cool to see all the work that was done. Um, all right, any notable security assessments, updates?
Nope.
All right.
We're
Um,
just
uh, and the how about the security controls work? I don't know. Last time we had asked about getting reviews from a couple of the other folks. I don't know if they actually, no, none of them reviewed this. So we will see them in person next week and we will ask them face to face, will you please review this PR? Since many of them are will be at Open Source Summit and live in the Twin Cities area as well. So, uh, let's see here. Um, how about is anybody besides Marina at the supply chain security technical community? I always go out of order on this one because there's, I think,
Um,
technically a,
did not meet this week.
okay.
There were schedule conflicts.
All right. And I still have to follow up on the MCP Auth Z group. I don't know if anyone else was able to attend this week or not, but it looks like there's no message in the Slack. So it would be another thing perhaps to try and find some folks to chat about that next week as well to see if there's anyone we can recruit to kind of review the content or perhaps collaborate on some of the things going on there. And Security Slam, Eddie is not here, and I think it's kind of just holding pattern as we get closer to the next official launch,
Until July.
July. Um, all right. Any other project updates? All right. And I just went to the triage of current issues and our link is broken because there's an invalid value for the label. What is the label supposed to be? No, this just looks like GitHub is broken right now because I don't see anything wrong with the lib. Um,
GitHub broken? What are you talking about?
yeah, it would never be. It's all AI's fault. The so this is I cannot see a filtered list of things. I'm seeing, I think this is, oh, maybe these things are all, it seems like more than we normally see. The, yes, I don't see anything new here. If anyone else does, feel free to shout. The issue with the way this is done now is the people add tag security and compliance to issues that didn't have it before, and so they show up in date order, not when the label was added. Okay. Uh, well, with without anybody claiming for new issues, I suppose. General stand-up and check-ins from partner groups. I don't know if anybody has any other uh, topics. I think it would be fun to talk about Team PCP open sourcing their Shai-Hulud code base, which was they have an official GitHub user now, which is Team PCP OSS. So
Hey, I'm, good open source citizen.
they chose an MIT license, which was interesting.
Well,
I mean, they don't want you to have to pay a commercial fee if you exploit people, right? That would be pretty exploitive.
yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, I think that there is a legit you know, I am not an advocate for 100% of all source code should be open at all times for everybody. I'm not one of those folks. I don't, that's not what I subscribe to. But I do think that there's something interesting in a group sort of saying, we can open source this and we're still going to compromise you. Like that's kind of their sort of takeaway of like, hey, these are, which also leads me to sort of believe I didn't get to look at the code because I know they also took it down real quick or GitHub took it down. I don't know if they put it back, but um, I think they're more or less saying, hey, the things we're doing are repeatable. That, yeah, if you were to look at this and try to protect against these things, we're going to find another way. Like, and we're going to continue to compromise you. Um, so I just think there's something interesting in that messaging.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's very interesting times we live in, I suppose. There was also the TAN compromise. I have an article here that I was reading. I mean, there's a lot of interesting bits and pieces to this. And of course, pull request target once again shows up as a thing that was a part of this. But there was a lot, I think, that went into the uh, the compromise, and the payload was quite vicious from the sounds of it. Once it determined that you had tried to remove it, or if you tried to clean up certain things, it just started deleting entire directories on your file system locally. So it was kind of a self-destruct as well. Um, I think the most important part, though, for open source is it was discovered in about 20 minutes. So even though more and more of these compromises are happening, it was the the fact that it was discovered so quickly is really, I think, a testament to the transparency and openness of the community and a very large volume of vendors scanning all of these things. So there's an interesting question maybe of whether or not um, the LF or someone else should be scanning for these types of things. Maybe they don't need to because there's so many vendors doing that. But Mike, you're on mute.
I don't know the details, but I know that thing you just asked for has been proposed by somebody. Um, I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was LF that was looking at this or Eclipse or somebody, some folks
Justin
were
was talking about some sort of a knock
yeah,
program.
yeah.
I don't know if that's what you were thinking of.
I think it might be related. I know that some folks in OpenSSF have talked about something like that. Um, One thing I also found interesting, and this was in, I think it was the Snyk write-up on this, was a couple of the packages that were compromised did have salsa, um, it did have full salsa provenance. And like nobody called out saying, "Hey, this is a failure of salsa." It's just saying, "Hey, salsa is not intended to protect against this particular type of compromise." And I think that sort of thing also has me thinking, hey, are there ways we can communicate some of these things better? Because I do think, and this is where stuff like the OpenSSF tool belt conversations are trying to come in, which is like, could you tell a story using all the tools that we, most of us here maintain or are otherwise involved in to sort of solve certain problems and be able to talk about that? Because the like even Snyk had said, hey, like salsa's not intended for this particular sort of, or rather wouldn't protect against this sort of compromise because the compromise was happening inside. Like salsa can tell you, I pulled in X and you generated malicious Y. I can go, you can go back for forensics and do that, but without the other sorts of chains there of things like the salsa track and get tough, that kind of thing. It's hard to say that like, oh, this, or rather not even in that particular case, but like cases like that of something just got access and is force pushing all these things. Um, but I do think it's a thing of like, how do we, you know, how do we talk to, like, how do we help with some of this? Um, in communicating, yeah, and to Evan's point, yeah, like an S bomb's not gonna protect anybody from, like, I think the challenge that we keep coming back to is like the sorts of problems we're solving are different problems because a lot of problems that people have today are the problem of your CEO gave his password to a friend and that friend used it to exploit everything. And he went, oh, how was I supposed to know giving my password to, or rather, I should say, people are thinking they're giving their password to their executive assistant or whatever. And it's like, first off, that's bad practice in the first place. Second off, you didn't actually give it to your executive assistant. You gave it to some malicious actor who is pretending to be that, or vice versa, of the executive assistant, approving a wire transfer and getting, and like that sort of thing is like there are ways to protect against that, but that's not what we're doing. That's not what we're focused on. But again, that's because to some extent it's a solved problem. It's just that pe people are not spending the time to solve it because they much rather say, hey, if I need a thing, uh, that's like anyway.
Yeah, I think for a long time in the security space, people have always focused on defense in depth because they know the disparity in having to defend versus attack. And developers are still learning that in the supply chain ecosystem because it has not been targeted as effectively as it has been recently. I saw someone claim that this was the first supply chain attack with a valid salsa provenance attestation. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but um,
Yeah, like I don't know either. It it's like saying, "Hey, this thing had an S." Like to Evan's point, it's like, "Oh, this thing had an S bomb," or "This thing had," like for me, it feels, I guess, orthogonal. Well, sorry, maybe more like tangential. Uh, it feels like it's something that is important generally and is in the same spectrum of things folks should do, but it's part of a bigger set of solutions. But I think it's the thing that also has me feeling when anybody talks about any given technology, it's like, can you go like without good supply chain data, guac is useless. You could say you're using guac, but without good supply chain, like if you're not ingesting S bombs, you're not generating S bombs, guac is useless, right? If you're not taking the attestations from Witness and storing them somewhere and actually using them, it doesn't matter that, like, Witness could have figured out, oh, you're violating every single good practice at runtime, but you're not triggering off anything. That's the thing that I think is still disappointing, is like, and I say this like having recently come out of a customer conversation where it was like they were like, "Oh, I know this is bad practice, but can you have the arrow turn green anyway?" And it's like, oh, sorry, the check mark, the checkbox turn green, and it's like, if you just want us to tell you you're doing the right thing, that's a lot cheaper for us to sell to you than a whole suite of stuff. But I think that that's still a challenge. And so it's why I also feel like when people, if people outside of saying, "Oh, we had a mechanism that was able to detect that the trusted publisher moved to a different thing," because that's also another thing that people have pointed out, is that a lot of cases, trusted publishing doesn't help because nobody is checking that the trusted publishers are the right trusted publishers. And then in many cases, they've compromised the trusted publisher. And it's like, no, no, it's each of these is like you're blocking a gap, you're blocking a thing. And again, I don't want to keep ranting, but the thing I'm interested in eventually is like, that's the thing I want to talk about with folks, and would be willing to talk about publicly outside of what I would call like a large group. The reason why I just say that is like, I don't want to end up in another tool belt conversation where it's like months of sort of discussing the thing. I'd much rather just sort of actually go in and say, hey, like, we're not here to solve all the problems, but here's the things that we worked with because again, the supply chain thing hasn't gone away. Like we keep adding new things to the mix, and it's still a problem.
Yeah, I know one of the different recent attacks had a salsa attestation with a null signer. I think there was a transparency log entry as well too, but like a bunch of the fields were just like empty because the identity didn't exist. And it was published as a part of the package release, which you would have seen if you verified. But once again, is a question, which, I don't know that compromising this project in a way to be able to generate a valid salsa attestation was ever intentional, but it at
Yep.
least makes me think that there are people paying attention to these things, and it is something that as things continue to get worse, hopefully more and more people are paying attention. So
Yeah, I think and this is a thing that has come up in a couple of the ecosystems, and I know we only can work with our slice of CNCF. But one of the things that was disappointing to me was some of the responses from folks who are major, maintainers of NPM stuff, or they work for NPM, volunteers who are involved in NPM, that sort of thing, was just the thing of like, oh, trusted publishers, Salsa does not help. And I think, I mean, uh, it just reminds me of the Simpsons meme of like, we tried nothing, we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas, or that thing. It just like in this particular case, it's like, yeah, like a lot of the things we're talking about are part of a larger solution. The challenge is with a lot of it is um, the solution needs to be catered to the individual industry or customer, and that's something that open source is not going to do for free. Um, just the way it is, or at least most open source would not do for free. Um, and I think that's kind of like a bit of a challenge. And I think the thing that I'm also like running into a lot is the problem of npm doesn't provide a lot of the tooling that you would need to block on untrusted publishers, right? It doesn't provide a lot of like, and also I'm not familiar with any tooling that really actually like, I know tooling that will help you generate trusted publishers, but not a lot of tooling that will enforce it. And then also the problem of if you're not, if most folks are not doing trusted publishing, then everybody views it as just like it's a barrier, or at least a speed bump. And then the other problem is even if you are doing trusted publishing, if I don't know who like who I should trust, it's hard for me to say, you know, like yes, just because you're using trusted publishing doesn't mean you are trustworthy.
Yeah, I know. I've used the npm audit command before to do the verification, and after it verifies all the things that have trusted publishing, it gives you a very descriptive output of like 35 out of your 1,000 npm packages have the signatures verified, and it's like, okay, that's great. But which ones? Which packages have signatures that verified? Is it more or less than the last time I added new packages? Am I trending in the right direction? It's very difficult to get that information. But well, I'm sure that we could chat about this for a long time. Hopefully, we can chat about it in person next week at Open Source Summit for those of you who will be there in the great city of Minneapolis. I will be there. I will anyone be here for this meeting next week, or should we cancel?
I will not be at Open Source Summit. So I can probably be here, but no, I'm going to be driving a truck full of camping supplies for a school trip.
Okay. Well, then we should officially cancel for next week then and meet again in a couple of weeks, which, if I can find a calendar, I forget which day that is. The 27th of May. So that will be a good time. And yeah, did anybody have anything else for today they wanted to chat about? Otherwise, we can call it a little bit early. All right. Well, have a great rest of your day, everyone, and see you again in a couple weeks.
All right, thank you.